let's dive into the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Bengals, let's be honest here, linebacker is a need. It's been a need. It felt like a need all last season, all last offseason for that matter. They go into the draft, they take 2 linebackers, still felt like a need. Logan Wilson doesn't work out, they trade him. Well, it's still a need. ESPN's Ben Baby has pushed back on that narrative. He joined us earlier this week. This entire thing is on our YouTube channel. But a clip of Ben Baby explaining what the Bengals are doing at linebacker.
When you look at what the Bengals did, the money that they spent on linebacker traditionally is not something they go. I think Logan Wilson was the most they'd ever paid. I think that APY was less than $10 million a year. And you look at the resources that they put into that room. They got Barrett Carter last year, and then they got Demetrius Knight. And I think this is the issue, is that by using the second-round pick on Knight, you knew that he was going to stay. Barrett Carter, you go on, and especially as things got bad last year, you saw him kind of really grow into a leader, start to find his footing. I would not be shocked if we see Barrett Carter as a captain this year because of kind of the voice that he has with those young guys, and you could feel that energy. So I think you don't really want to disrupt that as much as possible, and you want those guys to grow. And last year, if we're being honest, was more of a soft rebuild for that defense. The second they went from Logan Wilson to Barrett Carter, it was with the understanding that they want to go out and kind of build those reps, bank those reps, so that hopefully in the future that can be a really good tandem for them.
Ben Baby dropping a take, an opinion, and I think it's I think it's half true. I think the Bengals really do believe in these guys. I also think they were far more in on linebacker, and he knows how I feel about this. I'm not talking behind his back. Far more in on linebacker than he leads us to believe or believes. You can believe in something and think that the young guys can come along. You can also want to address it. The bottom line is, though, they have not addressed it, and I think that's where we need to go now in our buy or sell. Buy or sell that Barrett Carter, who clearly Ben is high on, clearly the Bengals are high on because they have not addressed linebacker, that Barrett Carter will be a captain on this defense this year. And, we will see what you guys think. Flip over.
I'm smirking because, again, it's the side of the desk that we are just
It's weird that this
aligned.
happens. I'll tell you why I'll buy it. And this is where the half-true comes with Ben. Like, just because they believe in Barrett Carter doesn't mean they didn't want Devin Lloyd, right? For example. But they didn't get Devin Lloyd. Like, they didn't draft Jacob Rodriguez because they didn't think Jacob Rodriguez was as good as Cassius Howell, not because they didn't want a linebacker. Like, sometimes it's that black and white and that clear cut, and this is. The reason why I'm buying this, the Bengals, when they benched Logan Wilson last year, which cost them it probably cost them the Jets game. Like, it would not shock me at all if that's the case. Logan Wilson probably makes one more play than Barrett does. Hurt them against Green Bay, hurt them in that key stretch of the season. They did that because they thought that he could become a leader and could develop and be that guy. And the thing that I love that Barrett and Demetrius both did last year, they always talked after games. They were always willing to talk, always willing to face the music. Well, that's something that a leader does. If his play steps up to that, like, reflects that, I think all the other stuff is already done. I think he's going to be a leader. I think he's going to carry himself the right way, all of those things. So as long as he's good enough as a player, he's going to wear the green dot. I could totally see him being a captain. So I buy the path to it. I wouldn't put him as like one of the favorites because I think Dexter Lawrence and some of these other guys, and that's what makes it tough. And so that I'm probably stepping on why you guys are selling it. There are a lot of new defenders in those on that defense that is going to take the cake here.
And that have worn C's before.
Exactly. And that's I completely agree with you that he is a leader of this locker room. You could see it at times last year, but I'm selling it because I don't see him stepping into that role this year. Beyond that, absolutely could 100% see him becoming a captain on this defense, but typically the Bengals roll with 3 captains on offense, 3 captains on defense. Last year, BJ Hill was a captain. It's very rare for players to not be voted back as a captain if they're still with this team, so I would fully expect BJ to be voted captain once again. And then for me, it's going to be Dexter Lawrence and Brian Cook. I don't see a world where both of those guys aren't captains on this defense. They were brought in not only for their on-field play, but that leadership that they bring. So I think Barrett might be kind of on the outside looking in. Not that he's not going to be a leader on this defense and on this team. I just don't think he'll be wearing a captaincy this season.
The leadership aspect for Barrett Carter was one of my favorite things when the Bengals took him, and it shined through the struggles last year he had when playing linebacker. Obviously, it wasn't the best on the field all year long, but like you said, every time he was there talking to the media, ready to face the music, and that's great for a young player. And I do believe that he can take steps. He's an insane athlete that has shown high production at the highest level of college football at Clemson, competing for national championships under Dabo Swinney. So I absolutely believe in Barrett Carter and the steps he can take. But exactly what Marisa said just there is why I have a really hard time finding a path to him being a captain this year. I think Dexter Lawrence and Brian Cook have that taken care of from the new additions. And like you said, BJ was last year. So obviously the offense is going to have some captains. We're not going to have the whole defense be captained up this year. So I think Barrett Carter can absolutely take steps. And the fact that he's entering into this conversation even just a little bit this offseason, maybe it's louder next year or even the year after that. I think this is certainly something that could be in the future, even the near future for Barrett Carter. I just don't think it's going to be this season.
And it'll be interesting to see how that does play, after this season, because he will have a full season of having the green dot on his helmet and having that responsibility on the field.
Yeah, that's where, to me, if he goes out there and he's running the show, you could totally see him. I could see him supplanting one of these other veterans for that and for that captaincy. Is it going to be hard? It is. And it's a matter of him leading by example and being what the coaching staff thought he was last year and why they turned to him, and then playing at a high level. And if he does, then that's, by the way, a great sign of things to come for this defense, because it means that the Dexter Lawrences believe, that Demetrius Knight believe, that there's buy-in around him. So we will see there. Let's continue buy or sell here. Let's stick with the Bengals linebackers. Buy or sell that Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter will be Cincinnati's Week 1 starters at linebacker.
Look at that.
A clean sweep. Yeah, we can get the broom out.
It's been sitting over there for a while.
If they were going to add Bobby Wagner to start, I think they would have done it by now.
Correct.
I hope that's not the case.
I agree. I would add him today.
That is a good point.
If you're Bobby Wagner, you're 36-year-old Bobby Wagner, are you even considering the Bengals if they're not willing to say, hey, you're going to come here and start?
No. I'm not, if I'm Bobby.
Starting outweighs the possibility for going to get a Super Bowl. I think it depends what other teams are out there that he could start on that would also still be a contender.
I would assume he retires without getting a starting job.
Really?
Yes.
I think I agree with that.
I don't think
or just waits for an
injury.
injury.
He's 35. He could get signed week 4 and start somewhere if someone gets hurt. I just don't think at this age he's going to, obviously I don't know for sure, but at this age he's going to suit up to battle with Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight to start on the field. He was good last year, and that's part of the conversation about how bad we want Bobby Wagner here, at least on this side of the desk, is that he was good last year in Washington. He put up good numbers, and he's lost a step in coverage, and all of that is absolutely true at the age he's at now, but he was one of the best tacklers in the league last year, and so much conversation about this Bengals defense was the lack of tackling. I think Bobby Wagner would absolutely fix that, but something James brought up a couple weeks ago when we were talking about the linebacker position that really resonated with me was we've been likening adding a linebacker that could still start to the Dalton Risner signing a few years ago. But the big difference there is the Bengals addressed guard earlier in that offseason. They signed Lucas Patrick, and they haven't really made a swing of any level, much less a Bobby Wagner level swing at linebacker, even in the draft. Swayze Bozeman's the only guy they added to that room this offseason. And I just think if they viewed that linebacker room with Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight the same way we talk about it at the desk and everyone in the fan base talks about it around Cincinnati, then they would have made an addition by now. I think they are behind Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight, and I think part of that is because of what Ben Baby said when he was in here in studio. They both played 73% of the defensive snaps last year. It feels like a complete waste of about 1,500 snaps between the two of them if you don't give them another shot to grow their sophomore year. So the conversation's hard because the Bengals are supposed to be contenders, but they were also the only team starting 2 rookie linebackers last year, and growing pains were part of that process.
Ben said it perfectly in our conversation. He was like, what was the point of last season and putting them out there as much as they did if you're not going to move forward with them and their growth and development? And I completely understand that, and I get that side. I just worry about the depth in that room, and heaven forbid an injury hits one of these guys. Where are you at then?
Absolutely.
Oren Burks coming in, there's no one else in that room.
That's the concern.
Totally agree, one. 2, I think their approach was, if we can get a 3-down awesome player, that Quay Walker. I think they were in on Quay Walker, just to give you an idea. He signed a 3-year, $40 million deal with the Raiders. Devin Lloyd, 3 years, $45 million, which was under market with the Panthers. If they could get a guy like that, great, but they're not going to get mid-tier premium money and give Leo Chenal $8 million, even though Knight and Carter are still going to be playing a ton. And so I think that's it. So I think there were a few guys that they were like, all right, let's go upgrade that room. And then after that, it was like, okay, that's it. In the draft, it was one of these Ohio State defenders or Reuben Bain, right? And then obviously they trade for Dexter Lawrence, and that goes out the door. But I think they were in on Sonny Styles, like the linebacker, and playing him at linebacker and letting him go do linebacker things right away. But after that, were they like, oh, well, Jacob Rodriguez is way better than Barrett Carter? I didn't think they felt that way. And not that they didn't think he was a better prospect, but I think they had second-round grades on Jacob Rodriguez and Barrett Carter, just to give you an idea of where they had Carter a year ago.
Yeah.
And so from that logic, yeah, you don't want to add to the room again just to add to it. You do want to upgrade it. I wonder if they feel, and I know this is takey, I wonder if they feel like Bobby Wagner is even an upgrade from what they have. The numbers would say he is. So just, and obviously history would say he is as well.
Well, to be fair, if that is the take, there would be a general assumption that Bobby Wagner would regress this year and Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight will progress. Now, how far either of those fall or rise, no one knows yet, but it is bad timing, if you will, to bring in a veteran linebacker with 2 guys who are supposed to take a massive step this year. And I think part of the Bengals process here in the draft, at least maybe, was we tried 2 rookie linebackers last year, and it was so hard through the beginning part of that process. Came together a little bit towards the end of the year and certainly showed some flashes. But starting 2 rookie linebackers was a tough watch at times for this Bengals defense.
Yep.
Were they ready to do that again this year with a Jacob Rodriguez or a Jake Golday? We talked a lot about potential linebacker prospects for the Bengals, and I just don't know if they wanted to do rookie linebackers again, which honestly, after how last year went, I don't know how much I can blame them. So I think running these 2 back out with the help that's been added around them on the defensive side of the ball for the Bengals can, in a way, increase the linebacker play as well.
Ultimately, everything needed to be fixed.
Yeah.
And I think they realized they couldn't fix everything.
Or if you could, you don't fix it well.
In 2 days into free agency, for sure, in 2 days into free agency, they said, if we can get Jonathan Allen, that's better than Leo Chenal. In the moment, that's a tough one. Now that you have Dexter, it feels much different. Because now you have Allen, you have all these waves defensive front-wise, and going into this offseason, the one thing on defense they had to fix, no more Geno Stone, way better defensive front, mission accomplished.